Hello, this is Keith George, and this is my discussion on the case study for EDL 850 concerning Internet use violation threats over the World Wide Web. And looking at the problem identification and analysis, what do I know? I know that Steno High School is a prestigious high school. The students who are attending there come from wealthy families. They have the latest fashion and technologies and so forth. The principal, who is Dr. Harvey Smith, is very well known and recognized and respected, having received the Principal of the Year 2 years prior. He prides himself in his building by hiring qualified teachers to fill positions. Miss Tate is one of his recent hires. He hired her in identifying that she already had her undergraduate degree, her master's, and some postgraduate work. It was Miss Tate's first year where parent and students began to complain about the amount of rigor in her content delivery methods. Dr. Smith suggested some new techniques to her, however, she did not follow through on any of those. In her second year of teaching, Miss Tate continued with those methods, and complaints continued as well, leading to an anonymous email with a link to a Facebook page containing concerning comments towards Miss Tate. What do I need to know? I need to know what the intent of the Facebook page is. Is it to cause, are those comments threats to cause physical harm to Miss Tate, or are they to damage her reputation? How many participants are involved in the messages? And are they parents, or are they students, or are they both? And can our local police or technology corner identify the participants involved? Was the anonymous email part of the threat? It could be coming from the page creator, saying, wanting her to see this as a threat, or it could have been, an innocent student who recognized it and is reporting it. Does the statement, "Who wants Miss Tate to disappear," imply a threat to Miss Tate's life? And then lastly, what's the school district's policies on cyberbullying and digital citizenship? The problem, I believe it starts with Miss Tate being made aware of complaints and then given strategies to implement to improve and reduce those complaints, but then not following through with them. So I think the problem stems from there, which leads to the continuing of those complaints, which leads to this Facebook page being created and then this last comment, which is implying a potential threat to Miss Tate's life. Participants in the Facebook feed appear to be anonymous, as well as the emailer. And then, according to this situation, it appears that it's a digitally negative culture. I know this is just one instance, but if it has gone to this extreme, I feel like maybe there's a lack of digital citizenship being taught within the school. In establishing a plan and strategies for implementation, I think it's going to be important to reflect on all of the information on the Facebook page. I think it's going to be important to reflect on board policies and also notify the necessary stakeholders. And implementing this, I'd gain a better idea of the context of the comment, "Who wants Miss Tate to disappear?" through reading previous comments, getting a better idea of, is this just a venting website, or have there been previous comments that there's been actions followed through on at school later? Identify the specific language within the board policies pertaining to an inappropriate use of technology and cyberbullying. Try to identify whether this falls in line with that and whether there's any call to action in those board policies in instances like this. In notifying the appropriate stakeholders, I think the night that Miss Tate calls, I think it's going to be best to go ahead and contact the SRO so that they can go ahead and begin to use their resources that they have to try to narrow down who the participants are. The next day, I'd notify the technology coordinator as well as the superintendent, just to inform them of the situation. And then I continue working with the SRO and technology coordinator and narrowing down who the participants are. Step 2, get more statements from Miss Tate, and to gather a better understanding of her accusations of William Hall, and then I begin to question students. In implementing this, again, I speak with Ms. Tate, get her to reflect on the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, months, so forth, anything that comes to mind that may have led to such a post, and get an idea as to why she is accusing William. I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't want to call him in right away and start drilling him. I think it's going to be best to see what the SRO and technology coordinator can come up with. If they identify the names of students who participated in the page, I'd begin with those students and questioning them as to who created the page, who that last comment was made by, and just inform them of the severity of the situation and how their honesty or lack of honesty will affect consequences. And if there is no luck in identifying the names of students, I'd begin to go ahead and start calling different individuals up from Ms. Tate's room, not shedding too much light on the situation, but stressing the importance of reporting any suspicious behavior online, anything that may appear to be cyberbullying, and so forth. I think it could go two ways from here. If we get names of individuals who participated and created the page, consequences will be dealt out. If we don't get names, I may proceed to make general announcements to the school. And I'll describe that here in a second. But implementing 3A, again, this would be after thorough investigation, identifying who all was involved. Consequences would be dealt out according to the policy, school board policies. And when I say who all was involved, I'm talking about the creator of the page, the people who made comments, the people who liked comments, the people who shared comments. I believe they're all going to receive consequences. The ones who created the page, commented on the page, and so forth would receive higher consequences. And then the ones that liked or shared the page would also receive consequences for being a part of it, for partaking in such negative actions. Step B, I don't believe would happen. I believe through the investigation of questioning students and the SRO using their resources, we'd come up with names. However, but if it did not occur, I'd go ahead and make general announcements to the school, not disclosing the situation, specifically, just a general reminder to students of the effects that cyberbullying has on individuals, and the importance of reporting it, and the potential consequences for participating in such negative acts. Action step 4, if after we resolve the issue by dealing out the consequences and so forth, I think it's going to be important to address digital citizenship and the policies on cyberbullying in the district. I would do this by reflecting on our current practices and collaborating with staff to get a better idea of what we can do differently to improve our digital citizenship education. I think it's also going to be important to reflect on board policies to see if they are up to date and have specific language pertaining to internet use. And then I think it's also going to be important not to forget about Ms. Tate and helping her go moving forward. How I would implement this plan, I'd ensure that Ms. Tate feels safe and is emotionally stable to return to work. I think it's also going to be important to readdress the previous parent complaints and suggest the strategies to establish rapport with students. And then I continually monitor her progress and potentially send her to some professional development. Resolving the issue while promoting success for all students. I think it's going to be best for all students if this case is solved, if we identify who the Facebook page creator was and all participants, so that students can see that this is not taken lightly. We believe in the safety of teachers and students, and then that dealing out such consequences would maybe discourage students in the future from carrying out such negative acts. We want our students to experience a welcoming learning environment, both through the actions of their teachers and their students. So that means teachers should also be creating an environment conducive to learning, an environment where they're using proven educational strategies. And then students should be made aware of the effects of cyberbullying and be educated on digital citizenship. And policies should be in place to protect students. How I promoted the success for all students and the personal well-being of every student. Did this by considering all aspects that contribute to the situation. It initially started from the complaints made by parents and students and the lack of Miss Tate's drive to improve in those areas. I believe I did this by reflecting on current digital citizenship practices and beginning the process to improve digital citizenship. Again, protecting our students and ensuring their safety now extends beyond the classroom walls onto the social media platforms and so forth. I also believe I did this through reflecting on school board policies regarding cyberbullying, making my decisions on consequences based on those written policies. And then also by considering the fact that there may not be policies in place and therefore they need to be established. Debriefing the problem. What I was thinking was that this problem may have been avoided had Ms. Tate taken action to those suggestions by Dr. Smith. I believe that there's probably multiple participants in the Facebook page and that cyberbullying is real, whether it be between students, between adults, or students and adults. It's real. And I also felt that Ms. Tate was quick to accuse William. What I was feeling sorry for that further supports were not in place for Ms. Tate, both in her first year and in her second year. Maybe the suggestions were given by Dr. Smith for her to implement in her classroom, but was there professional development provided? And I was also felt sorry for Ms. Walker for this Facebook page being created. And I was also disappointed in the actions of the students and maybe even some parents. And I also felt that Dr. Smith was a little too calm. I think it's good to be calm, but at the same time, I thought he was a little too lax in handling the situation. I believe when Ms. Tate called, he should have contacted the SRO to get the ball rolling on identifying the participants. What I was valuing administrative support, action on critiques and feedback. If I receive feedback, I take action on it. And I was also valuing policies on internet use in and out of school and digital citizenship. Unresolved issues. We still don't know who created the Facebook page, how many students and parents were involved, and to what extent. Was there an intent to cause physical harm, or was this more so to damage her reputation? We don't know what kind of digital citizenship is in place at the school, and we also don't know what kind of policies were in place. And then I also don't know if Miss Tate will ever feel safe in her classroom again, or whether she can make the necessary changes to build rapport with her students. Reflection on Standard 5. Standard 5, an education leader at the building level applies knowledge and promotes the success of every student by acting with integrity, fairness, and in an ethical manner. I believe I acted with integrity by proposing plans to address digital citizenship education or the lack thereof, by proposing that policies are made to discourage the misuse of technology and that there would be zero tolerance to cyberbullying. And I also believe I acted with integrity by providing support to Miss Tate. Component 2, I believe I acted with fairness by not jumping to conclusion on who created the Facebook page, not jumping to the conclusion that it was William, but rather carrying out an investigation. I believe I acted with fairness in considering all aspects to the situation, including what contributed to the incident happening, which would be the complaints made by parents. And then I also acted with fairness by imposing consequences aligned with board policies for all that were involved, not just the creator of the page, but those who commented on, liked, or created the page. Now, the consequences may be different depending on the participation, but all participants would receive some form of consequence. And then component 3, how I acted in an ethical manner. By remaining calm and collective while being supportive of Ms. Tate. I believe also by keeping the issue confidential, only sharing information to stakeholders who could contribute to the resolution of the case, and by seeking educational opportunities for students on digital citizenship and conduct on social media.